I don't know who's going first. If it's
I
Julie or
got you. I got you. One last thing I want to say though, Scott, this skincare, put him back on the spotlight. This skincare, look at Juliet over your shoulder. She looks great.
Oh my word. The anti-aging program is unreal.
She looks
It is
much
something.
younger. Unbelievable. All right. So Sean Brown, would you please try to introduce Julie Terrell?
All we're going to do is just introduce people all day. There's actually going to be no speeches. We're not doing any TED Talks or anything like that. We're just going to go through and introduce everybody that's on the phone. And the good news is we have 169 more to go. So you guys will all hold on.
That was awesome. All right. Take it away,
so, I think Julie's ready to rock and roll. She is a dynamic leader and we love her and we're excited to hear from her.
All right, bring her on. Julie, how are you, kid?
I'm good. That was quite the introduction.
That was a big one. That was cool.
Any more, Julie?
Wow.
I can give more. We can all just pile on.
Okay, well, I'll just talk really quick and then we can move on to the other 135 people, because I think the thing that is so amazing to me after I've only been in the industry 7 years, I feel like such a newbie compared to everybody else here. And like when we went to Cabo, some of the people I was talking to, they've been with Longevity for 20 years. I was like, oh my gosh, I was a child. Like, I wasn't really a child. I just turned 40 last week. So I am actually a grown up. I am an adult. I have 4 kids, but I feel like such a newbie when I look around. Like, just the people that are on this call is really incredible to me. It's really, I feel way out of my league. Like, I don't have things to share. Like, I just enjoy listening to y'all and the wisdom that you guys share so much. But Mr. Tom asked me to share a little bit of my story, and I'm happy to do that because it is a really incredible story. It's really, I was not looking for this whole world. I had zero experience with network marketing or direct selling or any of that stuff. I was just a mom. And I had 4 babies in 7 years, 7 pregnancies, but 4 babies. And that was my world. We were like Scott was saying, we were pretty disconnected from the world in general. I had Facebook groups, and that was like my whole life. That was my only social connection, was Facebook groups, which is super sad because I'm such a people person. Like, I'm an in-person kind of person. I love people. So that was a really hard time. Honestly, I was very lonely and felt super isolated. So when we did have a good internet connection, enough that I could get on Facebook, I just was in all the Facebook groups and connecting with the people that I could on there. And that was all I had for my social outlet and adult interaction. Like, I was home with 4 babies full time. So I was really active already in that world. And the reason I say that is because when we joined Jamberry, I was never really a big nail person. I like to have pretty nails. Like, most women that I talk to know, this is such a small thing. Like, literally look how small that is. It's such a tiny piece of me. But when they're done, it just changes. It changes everything. It changes your outlook. It changes how you feel about yourself, which changes how you portray yourself, which changes how other people see you and interact with you. It's really a bigger deal than we realize. But I have 4 babies, and we didn't have a washing machine or, a dishwasher or anything like that. So my hands were basically destroyed all the time. Nothing held up. But my sister tried these crazy nail wrap sticker things, and they lasted on her, and she had kids too. So I was really excited just about the possibility of having something that would last and would hold up to my life with all these kids. So I just joined for that. I just thought it was a really cool, really unique product that could actually stand up to my life and was super affordable, because we have, like, I don't know if y'all know this, but missionaries don't make a lot of money. So the budget was very small, very, very small. So there's not going to be wiggle room for getting nails done at all. But these I could do, and I got a discount on them. So I just enjoyed that. And I started sharing it with people. and on Facebook, because January wasn't open in Mexico at the time. So I couldn't sell to anybody that was like there around me. It all had to be online. So I was like, well, I've got Facebook groups. We could try that. I'm just going to start sharing with people because it's so cool. And so much of my circle is young moms just like me. They can't afford to go to the salon, or they don't have the time. Like they've got all these kids at home. So I just started sharing it because I loved it, and it made me feel better. It made me feel a little more put together, even though I'm still spending my days, at the house in sweatpants, taking care of kids and changing diapers. I felt just slightly more put together, and that makes the world of difference, especially if you're dealing with any kind of postpartum depression. Something as simple as having pretty nails literally can save your life. It sounds so silly probably to people who haven't experienced it, but that's what happened with me. So I started sharing it because I loved it. It didn't even occur to me that I was building a business, honestly. And it's kind of embarrassing to admit that now, because we all know like what you're doing, like when you're sharing, you're building, but I didn't know that. I just was sharing because it changed my life and I wanted my friends to experience it.
Yeah.
It really was that simple. And so I started sharing these things, and people were like, well, how do you put them on? And how does this work? And I said, you know what, let me just, let's just open a Facebook group, and I'll just dump everybody in there that's asking questions about it. And I'll just do a video, and I'll show you how I put them on and how I take them off. And then a couple weeks later, I got a direct deposit from Jamberry, and I was so confused about it because I had seen a few like commissions coming in, and I was like, oh, well, that was nice. People are buying some things. Well, then I got a check that wasn't on a Friday, and it was like $300 or something like that. I was like, I think that's how much I got in commissions. I think they paid me twice on accident. So I call customer service, and I was like, I'm pretty sure y'all paid me twice for my sales those last couple of weeks. And the sweet customer service rep was like, oh, honey, that was your bonus. I was like, what's a bonus? What is that? Like, how did I do that? And she's like, well, you have people that joined your team. I had no idea. I literally had no idea. So I'm just telling y'all, that is how no idea I was about the business. I was not trying to build a business. I was sharing something that meant something to me. That is it. It changed my life, and I wanted to share it, period. And the next thing I knew, I was in the middle of a business, and it just snowballed and exploded, and $300 became $600, became $1,200. Our bonus check doubled. So you can just do the math. Within a year, we crossed that 6-figure line, and we literally had no idea what we were doing. Literally had no idea. We didn't know what to do with that much money. Neither of us have ever seen that much money. Nathan grew up on the mission field. He's a missionary kid. I grew up in a very wealthy family in Colorado. So I was comfortable with money, but I've never made money. I've just had money handed to me. So we were totally overwhelmed and didn't know what we were doing. But we knew we had to, like Scott said, tell our supporters, you have to stop sending us money, because now we're making more money than most of these people who are sacrificing to support us on the field. And that just felt so weird. So that was like one of the best feelings ever, was to write our supporters and say, thank you so much for your support and your belief. But if you send us anything, we're going to just send it straight to the orphanage, and we don't need it. It's kind of weird. It was a little awkward, actually, but felt so good to finally have the freedom to fund the things that we wanted to fund without having to go back and ask our supporters for more money. My favorite one is one of the little girls in the orphanage we were working with had outgrown her braces. Her little legs were all twisted and really sad. And she had outgrown these braces, and they were just digging into her legs, and they needed $600 to go get these new fancy braces from Mexico City. And what we have been doing for the last 11 years on the field was we would just take note of how much they needed. We would go to our supporters, and we would try to raise funds above and beyond what we were already getting for our own personal living. We would try to go get money, more money, from other people who were just going to be generous enough to help this little girl who meant nothing to them, but everything to us. And Nathan and I kind of looked at each other, and I was like, can't we just do that?
Man.
We have a checkbook. Let's just do it. And it's like, it's in the account. But that's never happened to us, but we could just do it. And like every time I tell that story, it just, gets me a little bit, makes me cry just a little bit, because the freedom of that moment of realizing that God had provided so extravagantly for us that we could turn around and bless other people. Best feeling ever. That was the most addictive feeling ever. So we kind of went a little bit nuts with that. And we were like, all the things for the orphanage. We bought a new refrigerator and a new freezer and all these things. And it was so much fun. We had so much fun. But long story short, this is a really long 7-year journey. God kind of shut everything down there and put a new mission on our hearts to work with human trafficking survivors here in the United States, because believe it or not, it's a bigger problem here than it is in Mexico. So just let that sink in a little bit, that there are children being sold here, more of them here than there are in Mexico. So we shut everything down there. We still have a house there and still furnished, and it's just kind of sitting there. But we've moved here, bought a house. We lived in Dallas now, and we're really excited about just the pieces of all those puzzles that God's putting together and where that journey is taking us. But over the years, when people have asked, like, what's the secret? Like, how do you go from making $1,000 a month to making $100,000 in a month? That's a pretty ridiculous. That caught the IRS's attention. Let me tell you, there's been several audits, but that was a pretty significant change for us. And really what I think it comes down to, there isn't a secret. First of all, God is just really good and really generous, and taught me how to do everything I know how to do. So there's that. But then just being authentic and sharing what actually means something to me. I'm not going and finding some product that I think could sell a lot of, whatever, generate a lot of volume. I just found a product that meant something to me. It changed me, and it makes it easy to share, and it makes it easy to be excited about. And that is still where my heart is today. Like, I will happily just talk to you about nails. We can talk about that. But what I get excited about is the freedom that it brings to people, and how many girls I have on my team who have been able to free themselves from domestic violence situations, or just being stuck in really awful financial issues. They have realized that they have control, that they can do something, that they're not helpless. And my story is a lot more complicated than even what Scott told you. Scott knows. He's probably just being really sweet and not sharing this. But I was raised in a very, very legalistic homeschool cult. I wasn't allowed to go to college or any of that kind of stuff. So the fact that I'm here doing what I'm doing today really is a miracle. Like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And being able to spread that message, that you don't have to be a victim of your circumstance of, whatever is going on in your life. You have the ability to take your situation and make it what you want. If you don't like where you are, change it. Do something about it. Like, you don't have to just sit there and take it. So that to me has been my favorite part. Just being able to spread hope and freedom and empowering other women to not just be the victims of whatever is happening in their life. If you don't like it, change it. You're not a tree. Get up and move. Go do something about it. So that's my message, Tom. My message is just to find things that you love and be authentic and sincere.
Perfect lead off. You guys, she is